Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a Q&A now. This is where I take all of the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, like I always say, you want to try and get these questions in by Monday at the latest, if not earlier. I typically film these on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Now, this week I have got the most insane busy week of all time. I'm actually filming this on Monday at 11 o'clock. It's Monday 11 o'clock right now. So might be a little bit of a shorter Q&A because I normally try to leave it as late as I can. But if I don't film it now, it ain't going to get done. So try to get your questions in as soon as possible. Also, I never read the questions beforehand. So in other words, you're getting my raw, unfiltered opinions on these questions. If a question has a longer answer, I'll probably do a longer video on it at some point down the road. So with that all in mind, thank you once again for joining me. I always say on this video, thank you for supporting the channel this week. If you've watched one video or two videos or all of the videos, I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. But with that all being said, we're going to get right into it. There's quite a lot of questions, even though it's Monday morning, there's still a ton of questions. So we're going to get straight into it with this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Wireless LTKD, who says, "Hi Craig, two questions for you. Firstly, how do you begin your adult parlour show? I don't mean your opening trick. I mean literally the first thing you say and do after walking on stage before your first trick. Sort of like a warm-up in a kid's show." Okay, so I have a warm-up that I do in a cabaret show and in a parlour show. And it's designed to kind of get the audience in the right mood and kind of set the scenes for the type of performer that I am. So I'll literally give you my opening right now. Hopefully that'll help. So I walk on stage and I say, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. My name's Craig and I have been invited here today to perform magic for every single person in this room. Do I get an ooh? Congratulations on probably the single most sarcastic group who I've ever heard in my life." Now, this is an interactive show. Now, what that means is that you, the audience, you have a very important role here. You have to interact with me, the performer. The louder you are, the more excited you are, the better this show is going to be. Can you do that for me? Wonderful. Everybody on this side of the room, everybody on side A, I'm going to put my hand in the air. I want you to go crazy, make some noise, go nuts. Then we'll do the same over here, and then we'll start the show. So everybody over on this side, I'm going to put my hand in the air. I want you to go crazy. 1, 2, 3. That was amazing, especially you, sir. You were a little bit too excited. You're at a 10. Drop it down to a 6. That's kind of where I need your expectation level. That would be good. But that was great. Now, this side over here, you've seen where the bar's set. It's not that high. It's time to raise it. Everybody on this side of the room, put my hand in the air. You know what you've got to do. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. See how it's done? Now, here's the thing. The louder you are, the more excited you are, the better the show is going to be. What I'm trying to say to you is if the show is terrible, it's totally your fault. Anyway, with that all being said, before I start the show, there is one other thing that I need to do and give out this. This is the box of mystery. I know, still with the sarcasm, I know. So I'm going to give out the box of mystery. Now I'm going to give this to somebody in the audience, somebody who looks very trustworthy, somebody like you, sir. You look very trustworthy. What's your name? John. Nice to meet you, John. John, I'm going to give you this box. Now you are the guardian of the box. Later on, I'm going to shout out at the top of my voice, who's got the box. Now, John, when I shout out who's got the box, you have a very important job, my friend. What I want you to do is stand up with your feet slightly apart and hold the box high up in the air. Because I'm doing magic here. And when you think magic, you think Las Vegas. When you think Las Vegas, you think a Las Vegas showgirl. So, John, when I say who's got the box, what I want you to do is stand up with your feet slightly apart, put one hand on your hip, hold the box high in the air, pretend you're a Las Vegas showgirl, and say, "John, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go, yoo-hoo, over here, I've got the box." That's what you need to do, John. Now, we're going to do a practice. We're going to have a practice. You get this right, they're going to cheer and clap for you. You get it wrong, we're going to keep doing it until you get it right. I've got all evening, John. Here we go. Are you ready? Get ready for the cue. Who's got the box? John, that was absolutely amazing. Honestly, I think that was a little bit too good. You can hear the crowd going crazy for you. John, hold on to that box. Now, I also have the key for the box. This is the key of opening things. Not an exciting name, but it's the best that I've got. And I'm going to give this key to somebody in the audience. Somebody like You right there. I need somebody who'll strike fear into the hearts of every single person in this audience, because you're the security guard for the key. What's your name? Doris. Nice to meet you, Doris. Now you're going to hold on to the key, and it's really important that you're kind of scary, Doris. I need that scary vibe. So later on, I'm going to shout, who's got the key? When I do, I want you to stand up, hold the key high in the air, and in your best New York gangster accent, I want you to go, hey, yo, I've got the key. Now, contrary to popular belief, Doris, this is a professional show. So because of that, I need a dress rehearsal. Doris, you get this right, they're going to go crazy for you. Who's got the key? Amazing. That's great. Doris, all that applause is for you. So we got the key, we got the box, we got the audience, we got the magician. I think we're ready, and we're going to start off with boom. Then I go into it. So there's a few things that are happening there. So first of all, that warm-up is very personal to me. It puts across my style. What you're not seeing is during the course of that warm-up, I'm going to make a few sarcastic comments to people in the audience. I'm going to probably have that come back on me as well. And that kind of sets up the type of person I am. I'm not taking myself too seriously. This is going to be a fun show, and it's going to make them chuckle. That's kind of what I'm trying to go with. I need to walk out on stage like I own the stage. I need to plant my feet. I need to project. I need to make sure that I look like I own that stage that I'm standing on. By doing the whole thing with the box and the key, they can see that this show is very interactive. They can see that there's going to be moments where they're going to be called on as an audience to help me. I'm getting the whole audience cheering at the beginning because I want them to know that that's the energy I need. And also by giving the box out at the beginning during that warm-up allows me to bring everything full circle when I close with that box at the very, very end. So that's kind of what I do. It runs about 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. At the end of the 3 or 4 minutes, the audience fully know what my character is. They fully know who I am, what they're going to get from the show, and what I expect in return. The warm-up that you do needs to be personal to you. It doesn't have to, you can try the same thing I do by all means, but it needs to kind of be personal to you. But do something that kind of puts across who you are and what you do, and try to set up something that will come full circle at the end. Okay, so the next question again is from Wireless LTK, who says, secondly, I love the show breakdown for Nemed's show recently. I noticed at the conclusion of his borrowed ring to gumball machine routine, the spectator decided to have some fun by momentarily pretending the ring wasn't hers. I close all my shows with a ring to impossible location routine, and about 10% of the time they do the same thing. The problem is just that it stops the pacing and the climax of a big moment. Even though I know the spectator is trying to have fun, how would you go about preparing for this type of situation? For me personally, what I would do, so in this case, it's you're pretending the ring isn't theirs. Here's the thing. You need to be able to think on your feet when you're a magician. You need to be able to think on your feet, and you need to be able to change things on a dime. And that's why I tend not to script things. I do have a script, but I don't follow a script. I know where I'm going. I have particular points that I want to hit at particular times, but I don't literally follow a script ad infinitum, because I want to be able to go in different directions depending on what happens with the audience, depending on what's happening with the performance. The most important thing is to have fun with it. You know that most of the audience, if this person goes, that's not my ring, you know, the audience probably realize that it is, and that's the joke. And, you know, so have fun with it. Have fun with it. Make it part of the show. Make it funny. Think about what lines you would use if that happens. So in this case, it's like, right, okay, now think about this. This gumball machine's been here from the beginning of the show. From the very beginning of the show, inside that gumball machine is a ring. Donna, in a big loud voice, is that your ring? No. Brilliant. Okay, so I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that that's the end. That's all I've got. The bad news is your ring's gone. If that's not your ring, I literally have no idea. The good news is it's not my ring. So I'm sorry it's not your ring, but hey ho. Sorry about that. What I would probably do is, as I'm talking to her, I'd have a coin in my pocket, I'd finger palm it, and I'd pretend to throw it across the stage, and they'd hear the clink. And trust me, when you do that, the spectator will think that's their ring. It's an old bit. It's as old as the hills. But used in this situation where they've gone, it's not my ring. And then you go, oh, well, don't need it then. They will react to that because they've seen it is their ring. And once they've seen it is their ring, and then you just throw it because they've said it's not, they will react to that. It's a little bit like I've got a routine on the Netrix that I've talked about on Magic TV called Destination Mistake. It's my handling of the destination box. I use it to close my shows. And I have this moment where the cards go over my head and, I go, right, okay, throw the cards on the count of 3. And, I miss the thing. And everybody always thinks that they've made a mistake, right? As long as you act it well enough, people will totally buy into this. So if they go, that's not my ring, guys, I can't believe it. I've done this trick for years. It's always their ring. I don't know what's gone wrong. Oh, well, I'm really sorry. I want to say thank you very much for watching the show. And I would just play it by talking to the audience. I wouldn't even talk to her. This isn't your ring. Are you sure? Boom. I'd like to apologize to everybody. That was the finale of my show. And I'm really sorry and what will happen is she'll be freaking out at the side and you're not even looking at there. You're looking at the audience. They're going to be cracking up. They're going to be finding this funny. And then you can kind of look back and go, what's the matter? That was your ring. Are you serious? Oh my God. Now you can go in any direction you want to with this. You could go, luckily, I didn't actually throw it. And let that be a lesson to you. Never lie to a magician. You could just do it like that and deliver that line in a funny way, and that would get a big round of applause. Or you could have it go into another impossible location, and you've got a double impossible location. Heck, if you've got the gumball machine set up the right way, you could actually have it loaded back into the gumball machine if you wanted to. There's a whole bunch of different ways you could go with it. But if I was going to go down that route, I would probably be prepared to throw it across the room. If that's happening 10% of the time to you, I would have a coin in my pocket, because all you're doing is you've got the coin in finger palm and you're throwing the coin. I'd have the coin in my pocket and I would have it set up for that eventuality, because what you can do then is you can turn a negative into a positive. You can take this moment of your show that you're not particularly happy with and you can build it up to become an even bigger moment, to the point that you're actually hoping that happens, because when it does, you're actually going to get an even bigger moment at the end of your performance, right? And that's one thing that we should always do when we're building a show. We should try to turn any perceived negatives in the show, any perceived problems, any perceived issues, we should try and turn them into positives. And that's a perfect example. So, hopefully that helps. But if you need more clarification, let me know in the comments. Okay, so the next question is Dodgy Wheel, who says, I do magic purely as a hobby for friends and family, but I'd love to be able to pick up a deck of cards and be able to do magic that's more difficult than gaff decks. Do you have a list of routines you would work through in order that teach sleights and build into skill that I could transfer? I always feel so clumsy, and what I'm doing is obvious when trying to teach any sleights. Also, is this something I'd learn if I was a Netrix member? Yeah, on the Netrix, you've got difficulty ratings and you've got categories in terms. So you could go into the card magic category and you could go into difficulty rating and you could start at 1. Those tricks are pretty much self-working. You could work your way through those. Then when you get up to 2, then when you've learned those, you can get up to difficulty rating 2. And there's a bunch of tricks in there as well, but they might have one very simple sleight. But in the Netrix, every trick that's actually in there, we've got a sleight section as well with hundreds of sleights. And on each individual course, if there's a sleight, it's listed with a direct link to the tutorial for that sleight. So if you're needing to do a riffle force, for example, you'll hear in the tutorial, at this point, do a riffle force, you can click up on the thing, excuse me, and it'll take you to a description. It'll take you to a video that teaches how to do the riffle force. So it makes it easier that way, because that way, if you already know the sleight, you don't need to relearn it. So the explanations are snappier. But if you don't know the sleight, you can just literally click on and go directly to that sleight, which is really cool. And then you can go up to difficulty rating 3 and 4 and 5 and so on and so forth. You also have a few videos when you first sign up on silver level for beginner to pro, I think it's called, where, I go through how to actually get confidence at performing and how to get confidence learning material with a regular deck. So, and we're uploading new videos on that sort of stuff all the time as well. But what I would do is I would go on there and I'd go difficulty rating 1, learn all those tricks, and then maybe start working through the sleight section as well and go, right, I need to learn a double lift. Go into double lifts and look at all of those. There's a bunch of them in there. Learn a double lift, maybe learn a force or something like that. And that would be the best way to go. It's kind of what I talked about a couple of weeks ago on the Q&A, which is the way to get better at performing routines that have sleights in it is put together a set and start with a self-working trick. So start with a trick that's got no skill to it at all. It's completely self-working. Start with that one to build up some confidence. And then after that, go into something that's a little bit more complicated. After that, go into something that's a little bit more complicated and just kind of build it up over time. And you got the right attitude. That's the most important thing. You've got the right attitude. So you'll get there. It's just Rome was not built in a day. Okay, so the next question is Golden Knight Fan 84, who says, going off the question asked last week about who your Mount Rushmore of coin magic would be, I'd like to ask who would your Mount Rushmore of TV magicians be? Damn. Okay. I'm going to go for... Okay, that's a great question. So I've got to go for 4 TV magicians. Well, one has to be Paul Daniels, right? One has to be Paul Daniels. I don't think anybody would debate that for a second. I think at least over here in the UK, he completely redefined television. He made it more popular than ever before. He made magic more popular than ever before. So definitely Paul Daniels. I would also say David Blaine for the same thing. I think David Blaine revolutionized close-up magic, like the whole concept of close-up magic, the way we see it today, and kind of that hit-and-run style was built by David Blaine, and he took very, very simple effects and went out and showed the reactions you can get with them. So I'd say David Blaine would be in there as well. Also, I'm thinking Wayne Dobson would have to be in there. He obviously his actual show only ran for 2 or 3 seasons, but he was a constant regular on other people's TV shows as well, and he showed people that there was a different type of magic to what Paul Daniels was presenting at the time. It was very much a younger, hipper, kind of more edgy style of performance, and I think that was what was needed at the time. So I'd say Wayne Dobson, definitely. Even though he didn't have the longevity on a TV show as Paul Daniels and David Blaine, I still think he should definitely be on that list. And you know what? There's a few people that could go in the fourth name, but I think I'm going to go for Mark Wilson for a couple of different reasons. One of which is I love watching his whole clips on television. I watch them all of the time on YouTube. I wasn't in America, so unfortunately I didn't get to see him live. But the Mark Wilson's Complete Course in Magic was a big inspiration for me, as it was for a lot of magicians, and he had a massive impact over in America. I would say, and I'm not American, but reading between the lines and from what I know, he had as big an impact over in the States as Paul Daniels did over here in the UK. So I'd say Paul Daniels, Wayne Dobson, David Blaine, and Mark Wilson. Those are the 4 that I'd say. Okay, so the next question is, again, from the Golden Knights Fan 84, who says, the 4 of a kind production you showed on one of the 5x5 No Slight specials, you said there was a way to make a double 4 of a kind match in suits, and I was wondering how you would make the matching suit revelation happen. Yeah, I know which one you mean. So what you would do, if you remember, the setup was 3 aces on top followed by 3 kings, and at the bottom there was a king and then an ace on the face. What you would do is you would put the aces on top in clubs, hearts, and spades order. So the top card would be the ace of clubs, then the ace of hearts, then the ace of spades. Then the 3 kings that follow would be in the same order. King of clubs, king of hearts, king of spades. So card 1 is the ace of clubs, card 2 is the ace of hearts, card 3 is the ace of spades, card 4 is the king of clubs, card 5 is the king of hearts, card 6 is the king of spades, and then the 2 diamonds are at the bottom. The king of diamonds would be in position 51, and in position 52 would be the ace of diamonds. If you set the cards up in that order, you will find that the revelation will work, and that when you've got the 4 aces and you turn the packets over, the suits will match. Okay, so the next question is Corner Eagle, who says, probably a hard question to answer in abstract, but what can you do to make a trick more commercial? I had a major retailer turn down a submission as they didn't think it would sell well for them. My submission video didn't include a live performance and was probably too long, so a better video would obviously be a must, but once the trick is established, can you tune some of the things around the trick to make it more commercially appealing? That's a great question. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on this, actually. So I'm thinking about doing a video where because I still pitch products to people like Penguin and Murphy's. I still send submission videos in. But I send them directly to Sean Dunn at Penguin. And I was thinking about putting a video together where I show you my initial submission video that then went on to become a product. So show you what I initially showed to Sean Dunn, which then became Magic Button and Superimpose and Mind Blocks and stuff like that. That might be a really interesting video for you guys to look at, and I can talk about, you know, how the trick evolved from the initial submission to actually the marketed version, and what actually happened and the process that everything took. So if you guys want to see that video, let me know down below, because it's something I'm thinking about doing. But in terms of making the trick more commercial, okay, so you didn't have a live performance. You're probably, and it was probably too long. So what I would do is I would get straight to it. It doesn't necessarily need a live performance. You don't need to put a live performance in. They're not looking for a trailer with reaction shots and people freaking out. What they need to know very, very quickly is they need to know what the trick is, what the premise is, what it does, right? That's what they need to know. So if I was pitching Crazy Man's Handcuffs, let's say Crazy Man's Handcuffs was never invented, and I was pitching Crazy Man's Handcuffs to Penguin, it might go something like this. Okay, guys at Penguin, hi. I just want to quickly show you this video. So this would be a download. I don't think you can actually sell this as a standalone thing. This would be a download, and basically it's a way of penetrating two rubber bands through each other. Now you can use any rubber bands. That's really cool. And let me show you what it would look like. It would look like this. So it kind of looks really magical. Now, what we'd be doing here is we'd be teaching a move, right? So we'd be teaching a move because I've developed this way of actually having the band on this fingers here and these fingers here. And in the action of stretching the two bands out to show that they're linked, you would unlink them. And it looks completely imperceptible. No one can see it regardless of angle. And it looks really, really good. And I've got a few different applications of this as well. I can talk about different ways of presenting it. You can actually have the spectator hold the rubber band. But that's basically what it is. It's basically a way of taking, it's a great impromptu trick, great way of taking two rubber bands and bringing them through each other. So let me know what you think, right? So that would be how I would pitch a Crazy Man's Handcuffs, right? Now, compare that to something, let's say I created OmniDeck, which I didn't. Parlour Magic have the rights, I don't want to get in trouble. But let's say OmniDeck never existed and I was pitching this to Murphy's or something. It looked like this. Hey guys, hope you're well. Wanted to just shoot you a quick video to let you know about this. Now, this is something I've developed and I think it would be a really strong product to bring out to the marketplace. Basically, it's a see-through block, but if you look around the outsides of that see-through block, it looks like a deck. So if you put a card on top of that see-through block and you put one at the bottom, it looks like a deck of cards. Now, because of that, what we can do is we can use this as a finale to a card routine. If you're thinking about, like, think about solid cup, for example, where you've got a chop cup and it turns into a solid cup. Same sort of thing. It's a little bit like Paul Harris's solid deck, but you can see through it. So there's a couple of ways you could go with this. You could actually have this in your pocket and you can have someone pick a card. And you can have a cover card on top over there. You can have someone pick a card. As they're signing the card, that's the misdirection to do the deck switch. But it doesn't look like anything's happened because it looks like the deck's still, you know, it looks like a normal deck of cards still because the card that's covering it from the top. You could then take their card and put it in the middle, and apparently, but you're using a tilt break. Now they can hold that into their hands and you can reach in and take out the top card. And you go, is that their card? And they go, no, and you drop it on the table. You say, give me one more chance to try and find it. You reach in and now you've got their card, but then as a finale, when they look at the deck, it's turned into a solid block. Now the other way to do it is to skip the depth switch and just have the solid block in play from the beginning. But if you put one card at the bottom and two cards on the top, you can actually do a tilt sequence over and over and over again, and you could keep doing an ambitious card, but this see-through deck is in play from the very, very beginning. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually go with it, but I think it would be a really cool thing to have because I think a lot of card magicians would love it as a finale to their set. And I think we could put a bunch of different routines and a bunch of different handlings together. But that's it, basically. It's a see-through block. It's going to be very easy to manufacture. I've got everything that you need to manufacture it, so you could just literally go straight for production. Let me know what you think. So that would be two ways of pitching it. So you don't have to do a live performance. You don't even have to do a performance if you don't want to. What the magic producer wants to see is what the trick is, what it does. That's what they want to see. And they want to see that in a couple of minutes because they get submissions all of the time. Like with Penguin, I'll send it to Sean. Sean will then send it to the whole team and he'll get responses from the whole team. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I've put stuff through to Penguin and they've come back to me and said, no, we don't think that works. We're not going to do that because of, you know, whatever the reason might be. I think the latest one they said no to was about a year ago. And it was because it was very similar to a trick that they already had, and they thought it would step on the toes of that trick. Fine, cool, no problem, not an issue. Don't worry about it. But if you make it really snappy and really quick, you're going to give people everything that they need to know. If you make it a 10 or a 15-minute submission, they're going to switch off. If you try and perform it to them, they're not interested in your performance. They just want to know what it is and how easy it is to manufacture and why you think this is a good thing to bring to market. Okay, so include in there, hey, I think this is going to be really good because I think card magicians would love this as a finale or whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I can say on that. That's really it. You just want to keep it really quick, really visual. And also, if you've got a brand or if you've got a following on the internet or if you've got people that, you know, if you've bought stuff out before, make sure you tell them that. Tell them this is your chance to sell them on buying your trick off you. So it's not just about the trick, but it's also, why should they get it off you? Like, what can you bring to the table? Hey, okay, so if this comes out, I'm going to be able to market this here because I've got a built-in audience here, which is why I keep doing videos for creators talking about how you need to build up a following, because that following is going to help you have production companies say yes, because they're going to realize that they're getting a total package. They're not just getting the trick, but they're getting effectively somebody who can market it on their behalf as well, so they don't have to do all of the work there. But in terms of making it more commercially appealing, I mean, these days, the most important thing when you're trying to get a company to buy a physical product is make sure that you work out what the bottom line is. Make sure that's the most important statistic here. How much is it going to cost them to produce? Because that's going to be a big thing, right? If it's going to be really, really expensive, they might not go for it. You need to figure out how much it's going to cost to put together. I mean, in terms of commercial, you know, a lot of my products have multiple routines, but when I pitch it to the production company, I'll talk about one or two routines at the absolute most. I'll say, look, this is what it is, this is what it does. Now, there's a bunch of other routines we can do with this, but I kind of think of this as the main routine. So hopefully that helps, but if you need more clarification, let me know. Okay, so the next question is from Mystery Man, who says, what are your favourite David Blaine tricks that you've seen him perform on TV? I love David Blaine in general, to be perfectly honest. I think he's amazing. I still say that one of my favourite things that he did was when he did the Assy Wind double exposure. When he did double exposure on that TV special, I loved that. I thought that was amazing. I remember watching that and going, oh my God, I really want to be able to do that routine. A lot of the older school stuff I really like as well. But before it went crazy and he was coming up with a ton of really crazy, insane stuff that he was doing, just when he was doing Invisible Deck and he was doing, you know, like just simple double lift changes in their hands and things like that. That for me was so cool seeing that. That was my favorite type of magic. And let's be honest, we talked about this before. It's why I put him on the Mount Rushmore of TV magicians. He built an entire audience and so many other people that copied him from doing that style of performance. And, you know, Illusionist was built off the back of David Blaine, if you think about it. And the style that they went for was very similar to David Blaine's style. I think his earlier stuff is my favorite. I'm not saying it's better, because a lot of the stuff that came later on was cleverer, absolutely, when he had a massive team of people around him. But a lot of the stuff he did back in the day, the simple stuff, that was my favorite. Okay, so the next question is Adrian Suter, who said, what's a good opener for a card set that doesn't destroy the setup of the deck? Great question. Let me just move my laptop for a minute and get a close-up pad and get a deck of cards. There we go. A good opener that doesn't destroy the setup from the deck, I would say, would be Triumph. Vernon's Triumph. If you force the top card of the deck using whatever method you want to force, if you force the top card of the deck and then do a control that keeps the cards in order, like maybe a table double undercut or something like that, and then maybe throw in some false cuts. If you do that, the entire deck is kept in the same order, right? Now, obviously, in the Stars of Magic, Vernon used a slightly different shuffle. But if you use a Zarrow, so you do a slip cut, first of all, and then turn half of them face up and half of them face down, and you do a Zarrow shuffle, the advantage there is that this is going to keep the entire deck in the same order. So when you do this and this and this, and let's just say you do the Daryl display here, and you're displaying it. When you do all of this, what's nice is that when you do this part here, now the entire deck is back in the same order, but all I have to do is shift that card to that position, and I'm set back up. I'm still in stack. So for me, that's the best way to and it's a great opener as well. You know, Triumph is a great opener. Of course, it's quick, it's visual. Let's just assume that you produce the deck in some flashy way. Triumph is a really good opener, but using the Zarrow shuffle, it's going to keep the entire deck in the same order. The other thing that you could do, I don't know what the order is, I don't know why you want to keep it in the same order, but let's just say that these are the top 4 cards of the deck. If you force those 4 cards on 4 people, okay, so these are the 4 cards, and then you control them like so, there you go. You control them back to the top, again, keeping the deck in the same order. However you're going to do that, you can now do a flashy production of those 4 cards whilst keeping the deck in the same order. So, for example, you could do a false cut and produce the first one that way. You could then do another false cut and do a slip cut and produce the next 2. Boom. And the final one, you could, I don't know, maybe you do this sort of thing and you do a clap production. Badly. Oh, dear me. I used to be able to do this. It's been a while. Okay, whatever, good enough. Maybe you don't do a clap production because apparently I suck at it. Maybe you do the air pressure production. I don't know, something like that. But you do something to produce that 4th card. Now you put those cards back on top of the deck and you're set up ready to go again, right? So the deck is still kept in setup order. So those are a couple of different ways of having the deck kept in full order. Either one of those would work. But maybe, you know, if you want me to put a video together of the 10 best tricks to do if you want to keep the deck in the same order, then let me know and I can put that together for you. Okay, so the next question is from John Rice, who says, thanks for all you do. Would you consider bringing back the Hidden Gems segment? Yes, it is going to come back at some point. It's probably going to be July now because June is just insanely busy for me and I've got a million things on. And I'm struggling, to be honest, even getting the normal videos up because it's just so busy for me this month. But come July, I think I'll have a bit more time, and I'm definitely want to bring them back. It's just finding the time to do them. Okay, so the next question is Divishan Magician, who says, can you make a video on overdone tricks in the UK that almost every single magician does or has done to the point that the layperson will recognise it? For example, double cross, so many people do that, or ambitious card, every single magician, now kind of R-digit, but not just yet. Yeah, I can, by all means. I don't see the purpose of it, to be honest. I don't see the need for a list like that. Like, it's kind of a bit of a negative list. It's like everyone does these, so avoid them. But I could, I guess. Maybe there might be some value in it. But yeah, you're right. Double cross, ambitious card, omni deck, I think would be in there as well. Sponge balls would be in there. Vanishing silk would be in there. Crazy man's handcuffs would be in there. The thing is, things come and go. So the tricks that 10 years ago people did all the time are not the tricks that people do now. There are routines that make it into people's sets that over time become like this thing that everybody does. And it changes over time. So, you know, I could make a list like that and in 2 years' time it might be completely out of date. But yeah, I can make that video for you, no problem. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, I was speaking to an adult magician the other day, and he said he very rarely learns new tricks because he thinks you only need a maximum of 10 to 15 tricks when working. I can see why he thinks this, but I completely disagree. And I think learning and experimenting with new things should always be done, and everyone should find it fun. What do you think about what he said? Because I'm starting to realize that most adult magicians actually don't enjoy it and just do it for the money, hence they don't practice, while kids tend to be more enthusiastic about always learning. There's definitely an element to that, Divshan. There's definitely an element to that. I don't think it's fair to categorize it into adults and kids, though, at all, because there's some adult magicians that are just constantly working on new material. I just think I don't know. I think it's partly to do with the fact that adults have busy lives, right? So if you're a professional magician, there's a ton of stuff that you need to do within the business to make the business successful, not just the actual performing of the tricks, but you've got, the marketing side of things, the admin side of things, the accounting side of things. But then a lot of adults will have families as well. And, the kids, you've got to take time to do stuff with the kids, do stuff with the partner, and there's just a lot of bullshit that comes with being an adult, to be perfectly honest. So I can kind of understand why adult magicians have that perception of, I'm not going to put anything new in their act, because they have their list of tricks that they like. They have their list of tricks that they know are going to work. They've probably done them for years. They know that people are going to react the right way. And they've got a ton of other stuff going on in their life, and they haven't got time to put something new in when they know that they can get away with that. Totally get it. Makes sense. I disagree with that, and I think that part of being a professional magician should be constantly putting new stuff into your act. I think that you need to develop. I think you need to change. But I think that comes down to the fact that for me, magic is my hobby and it's my passion as well as my job. I go out and perform professionally, but it's a hobby for me. I love learning new tricks. Now, sometimes I'll learn a new trick just for the sake of learning it. Sometimes I'll learn a new trick just to put it in the review show. Sometimes I'll learn a new trick because Ryland wants to put it in his act, and I have to learn it in order to understand how it works. But a lot of the time, I'll learn a trick because I want to put it in the show. And it might stay in the show, it might not stay in the show, but I think that it keeps me fresh. I read on Facebook groups about people that are fed up with magic, and I've lost my passion, and I don't enjoy doing it anymore. And I think one of the reasons that I've not got to that point ever, even when I stepped away from the magic community, I was still as passionate about magic as ever before. I just wasn't interacting with the community. But I've always been passionate about magic. I've never had that feeling of, I hate magic and I want it to go away. I've never had that. And I think one of the reasons is I'm always wanting to learn new stuff. The day that I think that I've learned everything and I've got nothing else to learn is the day that you can just put me off to pasture, to be perfectly honest. So the bottom line is, look, you do you and let them do them. I agree that the best way to do it is to have a big eclectic range. And if you want to be a creator in magic and you want to eventually lecture to people, and learning new magic and learning new techniques and broadening your mind is the best way to do it. It's like, somebody who is a scientist or something like that. I've got a friend, Alex Foden, who's a scientist as well as a magician, and he's constantly reading up about science. He's got a PhD. He doesn't need to learn anything new, but he's constantly learning new stuff about science all of the time because he's passionate about it. And if you want to be that person, that's great. That's who I am. That's wonderful. But it's not a problem if there's somebody who turns around to you and says you need a maximum of 10 or 15 tricks. Just go, okay, that works for you, doesn't work for me. You do you, and I'll do me. And just do what's best for you at the end of the day. But I understand where you're coming from, and I totally get it. I just think that some people have busy lives. Okay, so the next question is from Jansu, who says, "Hi, Craig. Always appreciate when you take the time to answer our questions. Magic is my hobby, and I have always mostly performed to friends and family. However, I want to gain experience and perform in the real world. Where should I start?" You start by going out and getting experience. Just start by performing to everybody and anyone. That's what you need to do. Step one, you want to be a professional magician or you want to go out and perform more, then go out and perform more. I go out and do it. There's thousands of opportunities every single day where you can actually show somebody some magic. You're sitting in a bar, show a stranger a trick. I don't know whether you're at school or at work, I have no idea, but wherever you are, whether you're at work or you're at college or whatever it may be, show somebody some magic. Have a deck of cards with you, have some coins with you. Go out and perform, because there is no substitute to flight time. The more you go out and perform, the better you are going to be. And the environment in which you perform will make you better in that environment. Ryland, I think, is a very good stage performer. I think how good he is now will pale in comparison to how good he's going to be in 5 or 6 years' time. But how good he is now is way better than he was last year and the year before, because he's constantly going out and performing on stage. He wants to be a stage magician. So he goes out and he gets experience performing on stage. He does close up, but it's not his passion, right? So think about where you want to perform and then go out and perform there. If you want to be a stage performer, go and join a performing arts group. Go and join a improv group and go in there and say, hey, I want to learn more about performing arts. I want to learn more about performance. I want to learn more about improv because I want to be a magician, and I think this will help me. And then show people at that group your tricks when you're learning how to improv and so on and so forth. But just take every opportunity to perform. Don't push it down people's throats. Don't be the guy where it goes, hey, would you like to see another trick? Like 15 tricks in. It's that old joke, isn't it? How do you get a magician to show you 15 card tricks? Ask him to show you one, right? Leave them wanting more, because if you leave them wanting more, they'll come back and ask for another one. You go to see a friend and you go, hey, we want to see a trick, and you show them a trick, and then they go, oh, show me one more. You go, oh, I'll do another one later, because then they're going to keep coming back to you. If you just regurgitate magic on them all the time, that's not going to be the case. They're going to fear you showing them a trick. So go out and perform to as many people as you can. It's better to perform to 100. It's better to perform 2 tricks to 100 people than 100 tricks to 1 person, because performing to all those different people will make you a better performer. You want to know where to start. You want to gain experience in the real world. There's no substitute to flight time. Go out and perform to everybody in every environment, and worry about getting gigs when you've got more experience. Okay, so the next question is from Jason Staples. How you doing, Jason? Hope you're well. Who says, Craig, how do you get a job with Slightly Unusual, and do you do training days? Hope you and your family are well. We don't do training days, Jason. We do training days for Non-Stop Kids. So with Non-Stop Kids, we train people to do the Non-Stop Kids show, or a variation of the Non-Stop Kids show. And we bring you in on training days, and you go out and do training parties. But with Slightly Unusual, we kind of bring people in that are already at the level that we need them at Slightly Unusual. So there's less people that come in Slightly Unusual because you have to come in at a certain level. And I know I haven't really watched you do much magic. It's normally sitting around and chatting, or you watch me do some magic. But, we'll be with each other again soon, I imagine, or give me a call. We'll set up a Zoom call. You can show me some magic, and I'll be completely honest with you. Slightly Unusual standards are very high, and so we like to have the best of the best come in. I know you well enough to know that I think you could definitely be that person. But let's jump on a Zoom call. Let's set it up, and you can show me some magic. Do like a 15-minute set for me over Zoom. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Devereaux, who says, hi, Craig. Wish you and your family well. Thank you very much. I was going through some of your older videos, and you said you were going to do a mat test with Laced Up. Did you do it at all? I haven't actually. I never did a mat test with Laced Up. I could do, though. I've done it a few times now. It's not one that's in regular set rotation. It's something that I would be more than happy to go and do, but it's not something that I do all of the time for a variety of different reasons. And I don't think it ever will be. But yeah, 100% I can do a mat test on it. In fact, I will. I'll do a mat test on it. Okay, so the next question is from David Kayadi, who says, hi, Craig. Hope you're doing well. I'd like to ask, for the Nightshade coin set, is it easy to tell the difference between the copper coin and the silver coin, even under a bright light? Yes. When we were prototyping the set, we went back and forth an awful lot to make sure, because that was a concern of mine, and I wanted to make sure that everything was super visual. And regardless of lighting conditions, the 2 coins really pop, and you can tell them apart very, very easily. Okay, so the next question is from Agent Suter, who says, hi, Craig. I'm relatively new to coin magic, and I think the Okito box is an interesting prop. Where can I learn beginner routines with the Okito box, preferably on video, because I find written descriptions of moves and sleights difficult to follow? The Netrix, we've got on the silver level quite a few VMCs which you can access on Coinbox Magic, but not this upload, but the next upload I'm actually, because every fortnight we upload 5 new tricks to the Netrix. I'm putting together a massive section on the Okito box, and I'm going to go through lots of different moves, lots of different routines, and I'm actually going to have Jack create a category, a subcategory under coin magic with coin box magic, because so many people have asked me that. So on the Netrix, we're going to have a big thing on it. By July, we'll definitely have a big thing on the Okito box. So there's that. In terms of where to learn it, outside of the Netrix, the TCC ones from memory come with quite a good video tutorial. Can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure their video tutorial was pretty good. Obviously, obviously you've got, I'm just doing a search here. Obviously you've got Expert Coin Magic. Expert Coin Magic is the best option by far, which is David Roth's book. But he assumes that you're going to come in at a particular level. And because of that, it can be a little bit on the tough side to follow what's going on if you've never done it before. I'm trying to see. Yeah, the M Box Luxury set is available from all magic dealers. Penguin have it in stock here. That's the one from TCC, Jimmy Fan. That's a really good one. Really, really good one. There's a couple of books on coin box magic as well, and I can't seem to see them. I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find them and let you know. But I would go with the Netrix personally, but then again, I am biased. Okay, so Divishan Magician says, can you put the Vernon and Mora ball Vanish on the Netrix? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. If you want me to, I will put a tutorial on how to do that. It's probably going to be July now, Divishan. I hope you don't mind. I'm a little bit busy June. But I can put a description on there for you. It's a great Vanish. If you do cups and balls, you absolutely should learn it. A few people have said thank you for the Q&A. Thank you for the relevant information for these videos. Thank you for this channel. This may be the best magic channel on YouTube or on the planet Earth. So for everyone that's had nice things to say about this channel and about the Q&A, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so next question is from Archie Cox Magic, who says, hi Craig, thank you very much for answering my questions as always. You're more than welcome. The set list for the stage show, the title of the show is Perseverance. I mentioned it on the last Q&A. Okay, so to keep you guys up to speed, last week, Archie said that he was doing a stage show and he wanted me to look at his set list. So he's wrote it down. Let's have a look at it. So he starts off with an interactive prediction where the audience makes all the series of moves and mathematically ends up in the same place. I hope I explained that well enough. Then the tossed out deck using the infinity deck. Then a thumb tie. Then a torn card match where the audience tears cards and place half in their pocket. After throwing some away, ends up with a matching piece in their pocket once again. I hope I explained that well enough. Oh, is that kind of like a Woody Aragon type thing where they're all tearing up cards at the same time and they all match? I know the one you mean. The one where everyone interlocks their fingers and only the magician can untwist their arms. Classic, you know, that whole, yep. Thought of card to pocket that Christian Grace taught at the Young Magicians Club. Okay, so that's first half. Second half, Earth Shoes. Wow, there's a blast in the past. Paul Harris's Earth Shoes. Great opener. And then prediction, fiber optic celebrity prediction using a baby gag. The movie by Mario Daniel, Silk to Egg. Prediction in an envelope that's been in view from the start and mentioned throughout the show. And then Snowstorm. Okay. Very eclectic range of magic there, Archie, and that's a good set. You've got like 16 routines there in a 45-minute show, I think it was. Or was it 2 45 minutes? I can't remember. Did I miss that torn card match? Rising card, Rubik's Cube routine. Oh, right, okay, so after, yes, Rubik's Cube routine. So after torn card match in the first half, you got the rising card, then you've got the Rubik's Cube routine, which is the Venom Cube, toss-up solve, the solution, and cube in bottle. Okay. Bada-boom, bada-bing. Right, okay. So, first of all, the interactive prediction, where the audience makes a series of moves and mathematically ends up in the same place. I would not use that as the opening trick in the show. Purely because if it's a mathematical thing and they all have to end up in the same place, if that doesn't work, if the first thing they have to do is follow a series of moves and a series of actions and it doesn't work, that's not going to set the right level for the rest of the show. You want to try and open with something that you know 100% is going to work, and you want to do it very, very kind of quick. You want to have it punchy at the beginning, and then you can slow things down. So I would say that interactive prediction, switch it with the number 7. So number 1 switch with number 7. Number 7 is where everyone interlocks their fingers and only the magician can untwist their arms, because that's a great opener. That's never going to go wrong. It's very easy for people to follow, and it's a very funny bit as well. I would use that as an opener. You could even build it into your warm-up. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. We need you to be able to follow me. So everybody, I want you to do this. Very good. And do this, you know, all this sort of stuff. Very good. Let's just see if you can follow instructions. Do that routine first, right? So you go that routine first. That will set the kind of the level, and that's over a lot quicker rather than more of a procedural routine. And then rather than the tossed out deck as well can be quite a long thing. I'm loving that using the infinity deck, but it can be a long kind of process the tossed out deck can. So rather than make it a long process, I would shift the Rubik's Cube routine into the second position. So I'd start off with that. I'd start off with the interlocking the hands, and then I'd go into the cube routine, because Venom cube is very, very quick. You can bring somebody up, mix up the cube. Fantastic, thank you. Did I show you that they've mixed and I've solved them, whatever it may be. I've matched them. Isn't that amazing? Boom. Then you've got a toss-up solve, so you're showing skill. There's something visual happening at the beginning, but then you've got the solution behind their back, which is incredible. And then you've got the cube and bottle. That's a great set. I would have that at the beginning after the linking of the hands thing. At that point, you kind of got the audience on side, so you can go into anything from that point. The finale of the first half really should be the strongest thing that you've got there, or something really strong. You want to do something at the end of the first half that everybody is talking about when they come in for the second half. You want to do something that's getting everyone's attention. Is the thought of card in pocket the best trick that you do in that first half? I would suggest, and it's totally up to you, I would suggest moving Silk to Egg from the second half into the first half and moving the thought of card into the second half. Because I think Silk to Egg is a finale, or the Snowstorm, because you've got two finales in the second half. The prediction, where the envelope's been in view the whole time, that is a great finale. You know, if you make reference to that throughout the show, hey, remember this envelope's been here the whole time. If you then at the end of the show say, now, ladies and gentlemen, we've finished the show, but you remember the envelope, and whatever comes out that envelope is correct, that's a great finale. It's almost like Snowstorm is a little bit anticlimactic at that point, if that kind of makes sense. In fact, yeah, forget about moving Silk to Egg. I'd move... And so then if you go on and do Snowstorm after that prediction, it's almost a little bit anticlimactic. So what I would do is I would move Snowstorm to the end of the first half, because that is a big moment. Except it's going to make the stage a bit messy. So maybe you move the prediction to the end of the first half, and the whole thing is about this envelope's been here from the second you walked in. From the second you walked in, during the first 45 minutes, that envelope has been there. That will give you a big finale at the end of the first half. Really get people talking about the first half and the prediction they've just seen going into the second half, right? And then I keep Snowstorm at the end of the second half as the finale to the whole show, because it's a bit messy and then you don't have to deal with that mess afterwards. Silk to Egg, I would move to the second place. I like Earth Shoes as an opener. You know, you kind of come out and go, thank you very much. Did you enjoy the first half? Hang on, there's... I think there's something in my shoe. What? How did this big, massive rock get in there? I like that as an opening, but it's a very, very quick thing. I don't think you should go straight into the prediction at that point. I think Silk to Egg is a great way to open the second half after Earth Shoes, because you can kind of use that presentation. You know what? I had some, people were coming up to me in the break, and they were talking about how amazing the show is. Thank you very much. But I had other people saying to me, I wish I could learn a trick. Could you teach us a trick in the second half? So I'm going to get the elephant in the room out of the way, and very quickly I'm going to teach you a trick that you can show your friends and family. I'm going to perform it for you first, but then I'm going to teach it. And it's a trick using a silk. And I want you to watch very carefully, and then boom, 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 you're going into the Silk to Egg, right? And it's a great presentation to use. And it's kind of really intriguing as a hook line point of view. Oh, he's going to teach a trick right now. That's really good. He's going to teach a trick. And then you kind of go into that. You've got that magical payoff. And then you can go in whichever direction you want to go into with that. So that is what I would do. There's a lot of predictions in the second half. If the movie is the one I'm thinking of, that's a bit of a prediction as well. Movie, Mario Daniel, is that the one that I'm thinking of? Let me just check. Let's have a look here. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's the one. It's the one that I was thinking of. The DVD player. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it is kind of a prediction, but it's more visual revelation of a prediction. So you've got 3 predictions in the second half. I would consider moving one of those into the first half. And then I mean, you've got 1 prediction in the first half, which is the interactive thing. But that could be played off more as a coincidence, or played off more as a I'm going to influence you than a prediction. Yeah, I'd kind of go with that. I'd move one of those predictions, because you kind of got a bet. You got the prediction, then you got the prediction using the baby gag. You got the final prediction at the end, which you are moving into the first half. I would also consider trying to maybe have a flow that goes through. What I mean by that, the way it's written at the moment, the first half is a prediction, then you got a tossed out deck, which probably has a mentalism feel. Then you've got a thumb tie routine, which is probably going to be a comedy sort of thing. Then you've got another kind of prediction-y type thing with the cards that are being ripped up. Then you've got a card routine. Then you've got a cube routine. Then you've got this. Then you've got... I would kind of just try to think about the transitions in between the tricks, thinking about why each routine is following the previous routine. So you've got Earth Throughs going into prediction. How are you going into prediction? What are you doing? Rather than just saying, now let me show you a prediction. What are you doing to get to that point? How do you transition from the thumb tie routine to an interactive card reveal? You know, think about the transitions. And what you'll do is, if you take all of those 16 tricks and write them out, and you think about ways of linking those tricks, you'll find that there are logical ways based on your presentation, which I don't know, so I can't really do this for you, but you'll find that there's going to be places that you can actually link this stuff together, and doing that will make it flow a little bit better, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, really great set though, really awesome set. And if you did it like that, it's great. I'm sure it would work really well. Not a problem at all. I just think that maybe jiggling it around a little bit might make it a little bit flow a little bit better. But dude, at the end of the day, you've got a full show going on there. You've got a full show. What are you, 18 years old? Something like that. And you've got two full 45 minutes. That's incredible. There's a lot of professional adult magicians that have been doing it for years that wish they had a 45-minute stage show. That's incredible. So yeah, and that's awesome. So give yourself a pat on the back, but think about those transitions, and I would definitely consider moving some of those bits and pieces about, but that's just my opinion. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me on this Sunday. Don't forget, we've got a review show special later on this evening. If you didn't see it, yesterday we had a Talk Magic from Ari from Grum Leathercraft, and it was incredible. He talked all about Grum, his lecture tour that's coming up, how he got into magic. Super interesting. So go and check that out if you didn't see that. And don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, that's my online streaming platform for magicians. It's www.thenetrix.com. Go check it out, see what all the fuss is about. But on behalf of myself and everybody here at Magic TV, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for asking all the questions. I'm so sorry I had to do it so early on. So if you haven't had your question answered this week, ask it again, and I promise I'll get to it. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.